Welcome back into another episode of Hefe's World. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. But let's go ahead and get right into today's episode. I am doing a episode on the most underrated tag teams in wrestling history. This is in no particular order. I'm just going to go down a list that I created right here. So let me go ahead and get right into it. Number one on my list is Rated RKO. This was a very short-lived tag team that lasted about 5 months altogether. Um, However, though, this tag team was they definitely accomplished a lot together. And these two stars being in the ring together, obviously, we knew as wrestling fans would not last forever. As Edge and Randy Orton, great workers in the ring, two Hall of Famers. So it was only a matter of time before one or the other turned on each other and they went their separate ways. So for me, I have them definitely on this list as one of the most underrated tag teams in wrestling history. Some people may say this is the most underrated tag team in wrestling history, but I will let others argue that. I will not be the one to argue that. I'm going to go ahead and move right on into my list. Another tag team that I feel was underrated in WWE is Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. RIP to Lance Cade. These guys were three-time tag team champions. They weren't, around for too long, but I believe these guys definitely put on a good showing while they were around in WWE, and in my opinion, underrated. Another tag team in the WWE that was underrated, in my opinion, and for a lot of people could definitely be the number one tag team that was underrated in WWE. I'm talking about Crime Time. RIP to Shad Gaspar. Um, JTG still around, so shout out to him. But these guys, and I know this is going to sound crazy, never got to win any tag team titles in WWE. However, these guys were paired with the likes of John Cena, the hottest act in WWE when he was feuding with JBL at the time. So it's crazy to just go back and look and see that these guys never won tag team gold, but they were paired with John Cena. So how does that happen? So, you know, a lot of rumors will swirl, so I'm not going to get into any extras with this. But Crime Time, in my opinion, definitely great workers in the ring, cut great promos, had exceptional entrance musics, and held it down in the tag team division. They should have won some tag team titles. So, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people, just because of that fact, will have them at number one on their list. Again, I'm not putting anybody in any particular orders, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into the next one. There's a tag team there's actually two tag teams that I want to get into for this next one, both inside the women's division. Both of these tag teams are underrated, and I'm going to say they're underrated because at the time there was no real women's tag team wrestling. There was no tag team division for women, and there was no tag team titles. Nobody even really had a thought of tag team wrestling in the women's division. But these two tag teams definitely held down the women's division at their time. I'm talking about the Divas of Doom and Lay Cool, Beth Phoenix, Natalia from Divas of Doom, and Michelle McCool and Layla from Lay Cool. These guys definitely held it down in the women's division, had hell of matches for tag team wrestling. And in my opinion, if they were around today, tag team wrestling for WWE could definitely be a real thing. It's unfortunate that we're not having real women's tag teams. I know we tried with the Iconics and the Bellas, but it's unfortunate that what's going on right now. I hope one day we can get behind real tag teams in the women's division and we can strap a rocket to that because women's wrestling, they do an exceptional job. So I'm going to go ahead and say those two are definitely underrated tag teams. But back over to the men's division, I'm going to go ahead and get into Eminem. These guys, they were a three-time tag team champion. They also had Melina by their side. And I'm going to say, if you've never seen the entrance of Eminem, please go check that out because one hell of an entrance. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna give away too much. I'm just gonna go just trust me. YouTube it, you'll love it. But these guys definitely exceptional workers in the ring, cut good promos. Um, what's his name? Johnny Nitro, I believe. Outside of this, won two tag teams. Um, I'm sorry, two intercontinental championships outside of their three tag teams together, and then Melina also went on to win one women's championship as well. So these guys, in my opinion, are an underrated tag team. Another underrated tag team in WWE. Before I get into one that I believe a lot of people could have it number one as well, and fight for that spot. But before I get into that, I want to say the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. These guys were an exceptional tag team in WWE that unfortunately was plagued by injuries. And then, unfortunately, Dolph Ziggler was released. I believe Robert Roode is still with WWE working backstage. But Dolph Ziggler, actually, I believe they may both be in TNA at this time, but I know for sure Dolph Ziggler is definitely over in TNA and he's working his ass off over there. So shout out to him. Definitely an underrated tag team in the WWE though. Now, on to the last tag team I'm going to talk about before I go ahead and get up out of here. This tag team could definitely be in some people's number ones, as far as underrated, but Paul London and Brian Kendrick, these guys were two-time tag team champions, but they were exceptional workers in the ring. However, weren't great promo cutters, but I will tell you the way these guys worked in the ring, they were very much underrated. If they had like a manager or something that could elevate them to the next level, I believe they could have been there. Um, and outside of this bracket is underrated, but I have them in the bracket of being underrated, and I'm sure a lot of people do. But if you have never seen them in the ring, I want you guys to please go YouTube them. They were definitely great workers in the ring, definitely underrated in WWE, and deserve more spotlight. All of these guys, everybody I listed, all 8 tag teams that I've listed in this video, all deserve a higher spotlight than what they got in WWE. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button down below. And just remember, this is Hefe's World, and you're just living in it.